So my name is Yusuf Kudura, drama 15, and this is the oral presentation we have to do. And the play that I decided to do was A Raisin in the Sun by Lauren Hansberry. Now, first off, the book is about a family living in a small apartment, and their father had died, and they're getting an insurance check. Now, with that insurance check, it's about $10,000. With that money, they can use it for so many different things, but everybody's mind is just on the money and not really going back to the main theme of family and traditional values and everything like that. Now, with that being said, each character has their own view on how the money should be spent, and each character has their own individual thing that makes them them. Now, I believe the point of the play that I'll be addressing is the character development and how you see them change from the beginning of the play to the middle of the play to the end of the play, and how it all connects together, and at the end they all end up at the same page. Now, the first character I'm going to be talking about is Ruth. Now, Ruth is the mother, husband to Walter, and Walter's father died, and so Ruth married into the family. Now, Ruth puts up with a lot because of Walter. Now, she's there for him, she loves him. During the play, she even finds out she's pregnant, but everybody's so caught up in the money that she is known as the loving person who keeps the family together and everyone on the same page, doesn't really choose sides, keeps everybody, neutral. But during the play, everybody's so caught up in the money that her view changes, and she's gonna have a baby, and there's no room in the house for a baby as they already have one son. So she goes and she changes her thing, maybe even getting an abortion, which isn't like her. But then in the end, it turns out that she ends up wanting to keep the baby, and they end up on the same page. So she goes from being loving and modest and thinking of everything of the right thing to do, but then her mind just changes and she stops to care and stops to think about the future for her whole family and just wanting to give up on life basically. But then she changes back to caring about her family at the end. Now, the other person is Walter Lee, which is Ruth's husband. Now, he is the one who changes the most throughout the whole book, and I found actually the most interesting character because his personality is so big. Now, Walter, his mind is 24/7, money on his mind all the time. Now, with that being said, his development changes towards the end. There is no middle phase for him. He goes from wanting the money and no one saying he wants to start a business. He's tired of living in this rundown house that they live in. It's a two bedroom with their son sleeping on the couch in the living room. He's tired of that. He wants to own a business, be successful, tired of being a driver anymore. He wants to move up in the world. Now, with that being said, though, his mind is just stuck on the money. He forgets about his family. He goes out, he drinks, he doesn't think of the consequences he's creating, talks back, and says things that to him might seem like nothing, but in the end, it actually does hurt him, especially his wife Ruth, which is why Ruth thinks of having to abort the baby. Now, with that being said, Walters wants the money. He doesn't care how he gets it. When eventually he gets it, he gets so happy once he gets the money. But then at the end of the play, when they realize that their money gets lost and just taken away, that's when his mindset starts to change. When the guy from the white community came and said that you guys can't move into our house anymore, he switched back and he said, you know what, we're going to move into that neighborhood. After the first initial thought was, I'm just going to take all his money that they're going to offer us not to move in. But then he thought about his family. He's like, you know what, I'm going to stick up for my prideful self. I'm going to be prideful for once. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to say we're going to move into that neighborhood and we're going to live there and no one can tell us anything. Because at the end, that's what he wants, his own house, his own successful, just something to call his, not this rundown apartment that they're all living in. Now, another character is Travis. He's the youngest. He doesn't really do much in the play. He's there and then now. He's the son of Walter and Ruth. Now he's just always happy and playful, and he's just like that throughout the whole play. The money doesn't mind him. He just listens to his dad and his mom, but he's basically the same during the whole play. The other one is Benethia. She's the sister of Walter. Now, she and Walter always clash heads. They go back and forth, clashing heads. Now, with that being said, Benithia's focus on school, and she cares for the money because it can help her pay for school, but she's tired of Walter always talking about the money for business and being successful and all this, according to her, all this BS. But she's the one who she develops in the person as she always thinks of herself at first in the play. It seems like in the beginning, how she goes and when she gets told something to do, she always like shrugs it off like she doesn't want to do it. But then and always focusing, jumping from things to things, like how her mother explained how she did horseback riding and spent X amount of money, and at the end she just left it and tried something else. But I mean, she's open minded, which is good. She's always trying to change. Towards the end, she makes ways with Walter. They become close again because during the whole play, they're mainly fighting the whole time, going back and forth as Benicia, she meets a man from Africa too, which Walter always makes fun of, saying, "Oh, you got your Nigerian or African heritage," and they just like brothers and sisters always do, just clashing heads and towards the end. Now the other character is Lena, which is the mother of Benicia and Walter, and who the money is actually supposed to be going to. She gets to decide what she wants to do with that money. Now her character is very unique because she's the middleman. She's the peacemaker. She's everything. There would be no story if she was not in the play. Her role in the play is very significant, and her development is very well too, because in the beginning, how she seems not willing to give. She doesn't know. She just wants to be happy. That's all she really wants, honestly. She wants to be happy and for her family and her kids to be happy at one time. Now, with that being said, she starts off in the beginning of the play having to stop the fighting and everything, and she really cares for Ruth and everything like that. And then towards when she gets some money, she's excited. She's like, I'm gonna buy myself a house for my family in this neighborhood. I'm gonna have my own garden finally. I'm gonna be able to do what I want. But then when she gets towards the end, she gets disappointed and her character changes. She gets disappointed. She starts hearing about how African Americans in white neighborhoods are getting attacked, and she's like, you know what? I don't think it's worth it. Call the movers off. We're just gonna stay home, which really did seem a big time because you felt like she was the only one in the whole entire play that was doing good and was like, I'm gonna keep my head up strong and hold herself in together. Now, the last person I want to talk about during the play was Joseph Ascai. This is Benicia's boyfriend. He was in and out the play, but I feel like he developed as well very well because in the beginning of the play, he seemed very interested, and then towards the middle of the play, Benicia and in the play, the writer, she made him seem like he's a typical guy who's just trying to get after one thing. But then towards the end, he kind of flips back and sees like you could tell he's a genuine person and really wants the best for Benicia, which is good for her because Benicia needs something as she herself thinks that her family is always attacking her and everything like that. Now, from the development, I realized every character almost the same development, some more than others. Now, in the beginning, you found out a little bit about them, you found out more and more and more, and then towards the end, they all kind of change and they're all a little bit different to me, but then they change to become to the same. And I think what brought it back was losing the money that Walter wanted so bad actually brought them in together, and it shows that money isn't really that much of a big deal. Because in the beginning, Walter one was selfish, he wanted what's best for his family, but he was just thinking of himself and becoming a businessman. Benicia wanted what's best for herself. Mama and Ruth were the only ones who really wanted what's best for the family. And so at the end, when Ruth and Mama got discouraged when the guy from the community came over and said, hey, we'll offer you this amount if we don't think it's a good idea if you guys move in. But that's when Walter and Benicia were like, you know what? We should move there because, you know what? This is our house. We earned it. It's our money. Our father worked hard for us, so why not us have this house? And then them persuading them, when the guy came back in, he said, you know what? We're going to move into this house. We don't care what you say. We're going to do it. And everyone just became super happy, which made Mama even happy because, you know what? In the whole play, the best thing was for everybody to be on the same page and none of this conflict would have happened in the first place. And the money was what changed everything. And which relates back to the theme which I think the theme of the whole entire play is, which is family values and just sticking together and just not letting money get into your head, because they were perfectly happy where they are. I mean, not perfectly happy, but everybody had their own thing there. but I believe that the money actually just tore them apart, and to the point where Walter and Ruth were almost going to get a divorce, and Ruth was thinking of aborting her baby. But now, since they're moving to a new house, they have room for a new baby, they have their own garden, they have everything they need to become a happy family, which makes Mama happy and which relates back to the theme of always being happy and everything like that. Overall, with all the characters, Mama, Walter, Ruth, Joseph, Benethia, all of them, they change in different parts of the play. They all start off one way. They continue until maybe the end. Maybe they change in the middle, go back to their old ways. They all they all developed really well. Walter, I think, was the one who impressed me the most in how he developed the thing. You just seemed the tide just turned on him. You just see him being like an asshole, like everything going up, 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 going bad, bad, bad. But then at the end he flips and he goes to what the family wants, and which helps out the play in the beginning, and gives the play a happy ending and everything like that. And same thing with Ruth, how she was caring and loving, and then she turned and she's like, I'm done with this, but it's nice to see her go back and things like that. I don't know. Overall it was a great play. I liked it very much. I sat through the whole thing, read it in one sitting. Um, it was a good thing. The setting also was another thing that caught my eye. Was it really stuck into my head of how people live in such a small area, and like it really gave a sense of the family unity and gave a sense of why Walter was acting that way, which made sense. Like if he was in a huge house and was acting like this, you would think he's just a stingy person, but he's not doing it because he's stingy. He's doing it because he wants what's best for his family, which is what everybody wants in the end. And that what one window, one little plant, and Travis sleeping on the couch and everything like that. But in the end, he learned his lesson of not trusting people with the money, and he's like, you know what? I shouldn't trust other people. Family's the only thing I got, so I need to stick with that. But overall, great play, great theme, great setting, great characters in it, and the one that was most interesting. That's why I chose to do it. Hopefully, and that's it. Thank you very much.